Hello, my name is Charlotte Tesser, and today I'm going to be speaking with all of you today about the abortion rights under attack in the United States. All right, a little background information before we begin is first of all, there are three trimesters in pregnancy. And this is related to a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court in which the court ruled that the Constitution of the United States protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion without excessive government restriction. Now, there's different types of restrictions in the trimesters, so that's where I'm going to go through with you right now. In the first trimester of pregnancy, the state may not regulate the abortion decision, only the pregnant woman and her attending physician can make that decision. And in the second trimester, the state may begin to impose regulations on abortion that are reasonably related to maternal health. Now, in the third trimester, the state may regulate abortions or prohibit them entirely as long as the laws contain exceptions for cases when abortion is necessary to save the life or health of the mother. Now, many people actually receive abortions within the first trimester or the second trimester, not usually the third, because it's seen as a little inhumane. Now, there has been a clear divide in the United States with pro choice and pro life. Now, Republicans and conservatives usually lean more toward pro life, and Democrats usually lean more toward pro choice. Now, you could be a Democrat and believe in pro life, or a Republican and believe in pro choice. There's different views. You're allowed to believe what you want to believe. I'm just stating what many people fall under in the categories listed in the United States today, that more Republicans lean more toward pro life, and more Democrats lean toward more pro choice. All right, now I'm going to be talking with you a little bit about Roe versus Wade and how this bill came into law. In 1970, Jane Roe, which is actually not her real name, filed a lawsuit against Henry Wade, the district attorney of Dallas County, Texas. Now, Roe challenged a Texas law making abortion illegal except by a doctor's orders to save a woman's life. Her lawsuit stated that the state's laws were unconstitutionally vague and abridged her right of personal privacy protected by the First, Fourth, Fifth, Ninth, and 14th Amendments. On January 22nd, 1973, the Supreme Court issued a 7-2 decision in favor of Jane Roe. Now, I'm going to insert my personal opinion on this. I actually agree with Roe because, like stated, the state's laws were unconstitutionally vague and abridged her right of personal privacy. Now, a woman could have abortion for many, many reasons. It may not just be one reason, it may not be the other. Like, you actually don't know unless you're in that person's shoes. So, someone could have been raped, it could have been incest, it could have been an abusive relationship. There are many, many reasons as to why someone may have an abortion. You know, it could be financial, it could be emotional, they're just not ready for it. And I believe that that is the woman's choice, the woman's body. She's allowed to do what she feels is best for herself. Now, this is especially coming into play within the last week with the documents from the Supreme Court being released to the public. The question we all ask ourselves now is, should Roe versus Wade be overturned? And on the left side, I have more of the pros, which is the Democrats' point of views. And on the right side, I have more of the cons, which is the Republicans' point of views. So, to start off, access to legal, professionally performed abortions reduces maternal injury and death caused by unsafe, illegal abortions. And to counter that toward the right, the 14th Amendment bars states from depriving, quote unquote, any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, quote, which applies to unborn babies because they have a heartbeat as early as 3 to 4 weeks after conception. Now, if you want to believe a heartbeat equals someone being a human being only a short time after someone is pronounced pregnant, that is completely and entirely up to you. That is your opinion. But what I believe that everyone should believe is that everyone should have access to legal, safe abortions if they so need it. Now, before abortion was legalized, women would frequently take matters into their own hands by using coat hangers, knitting needles, and illegal procedures. And this is very, very sad to me because I've actually known some people that have done certain things to try to do an abortion themselves. And you should never ever feel like you're in the situation to put your body at risk because a doctor out there somewhere knows how to help you, and that doctor should be made to help you. Like, we live in the United States, we should be able to access these things like Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood should not be shut down across the United States. I completely disagree with them shutting down Planned Parenthoods. And humans have the right to life, which means so do fetuses. That's what some Republicans believe. Women have the right to control their own bodies, but not when it comes to jeopardizing another living being. That is a pretty good argument, but in my personal opinion, the life that is alive right now is what matters most. And if that woman chooses not to have a baby, you cannot force someone to have a baby. You cannot force someone into adulthood. You cannot force someone into motherhood. You cannot force someone to have a baby. I completely think that that is wrong. The World Health Organization estimated that unsafe abortions cause 68,000 maternal deaths worldwide each year. Now, a lot of people like to say, to counter that, in 2019, 629,898 legal induced abortions were reported to CDC from 49 reporting areas. So, in my opinion, to counter that as well, although there are many people who are choosing to have abortions over mothers dying from giving birth, I believe that we should focus on the kids that are currently in foster care, that are currently in child homes, because a lot of people don't adopt. I don't think I've known anyone in my entire life that has adopted. And there's a lot of kids who sit in adoption until they're 18 years old. And then as soon as they get out of adoption, they have nowhere to go. They have no social skills, no society skills. Like, they don't know how to perform in society or act because they've grown up in these homes. And unfortunately, a lot of them don't get adopted, which is very, very upsetting. But I feel like we should focus on those kids who are alive right now before we bring more kids into the world, because it's just what I feel like is right. Now, in this slide, it's a little visual so you can see what the effects in the United States, how Roe versus Wade being overturned would actually affect us. And on the West Coast, you can see that the dark blue is the expanded access area, and that would be the places where abortion would be the most protected. Now, I'm very glad that Illinois is a protected location as well as my 4 year college that I will be attending in Iowa, protected area as well. But as we move toward the south, we see that there's very hostile and not protected areas. So that's a very big portion of our country that would be affected. And unfortunately, for example, if you lived in somewhere like Tennessee or Alabama and you needed to have an abortion performed, a lot of young women, unfortunately, don't have the means of transportation to even do this in the first place, but have to travel across the country to a state that allows them to perform that abortion. They need to first come up with the money, then find the transportation, and especially if it's a rape and they're very, very young. Unfortunately, a lot of females are not going to be able to do that. It's very sad because I've seen a lot of TV shows where that has actually happened to young women. And I believe that every woman in this country should have a fair right to that. Now, you may ask yourself, well, what's happening now? And to answer your question, the Supreme Court remains on course to overturn Roe versus Wade, as the conservative justices who signed a leaked draft opinion opposing the landmark abortion rights rulings haven't changed their minds. A leaked draft opinion penned by Justice Samuel Alito and backed by four conservative justices that would overturn the 5-decade-old abortion rights ruling. Although it has yet to be overturned, this means that those who have fought for decades for this bill to be passed will have their efforts thrown away. Now, I actually really, really enjoy this visual because when I talk about this topic with people, a lot of people are actually very unaware or maybe just a little bit ignorant to actually how much Planned Parenthood does for women. Now, Planned Parenthood is not just 99% abortion and 1% other services. As you can see here, 42% is involved in STI and STD testing and treatment. 34% is involved in contraception, and it's actually I actually get my contraception from Planned Parenthood for free. They actually help me out with that. I wouldn't be able to afford birth control if it wasn't for Planned Parenthood. And if we move to the right, we can see that 11% other women's health care services, 9% is for cancer screening and prevention, and only about 3% is for abortion services, and 1% is for other services. So a lot of people get the idea that shutting down Planned Parenthood would actually stop abortion, but that only stops safe abortions, and that is just not right at all. Now, as I've just said, I'm going to state my personal opinion. Criminalization does not prevent women from having abortions, it only prevents women from having safe ones. When people can legally access abortion in the United States, it's one of the safest medical procedures. Abortions performed in the US have a safety record of over 99%. Protecting the right to safe, accessible abortion is crucial to protecting a woman's right to her body. And it's also unlawful to force a woman into motherhood, especially when they could be unprepared mentally, physically, financially, or emotionally. Like I stated earlier in my slide, there could be many reasons as to why someone has had an abortion. It's not just the one that you may think it is. Now, unfortunately, if the Supreme Court goes through with this and they overturn this bill, this would harm individuals who already face systemic discrimination and have limited health care access. Now, if Roe versus Wade is overturned, 26 states could quickly move to ban abortion. Some of these states have policies that could actually ban abortion immediately. Others are led by lawmakers who are hostile toward abortion and have a history of passing abortion restrictions. So they're anti abortion. Now, I believe that Planned Parenthood should not be defunded, along with this bill being passed for Roe versus Wade. Uh, to the left, it's a nice quote that I actually really enjoy from Michelle Obama. She states that protecting women's health has nothing to do with politics. It's about the women we love, our daughters, our mothers, and our sisters. Now, Planned Parenthood health centers provide a wide range of services, including birth control, testing, and treatment for sexually transmitted infections, and screenings for cervical and other cancers, as stated in the slide previously. Planned Parenthood also provides vital healthcare services to 2.4 million people each year throughout more than 600 health centers across the country, and I am one of them. I'm a very open person when it comes to discussing this topic, but there's been a few people who've actually given me the same question or statement. They say, well, if it was rape, then I guess it's okay, but besides that, like they shouldn't be allowed to abort a child because that's still a living human being. And now the problem with that statement is that you're basically telling someone or a woman that she needs to be violated first before she's allowed to have control over her own body. And that's what I believe is exactly what you're trying to say, because you're basically telling her, well, if that happens, then I guess you're allowed to have it, but for any other reason, it's not okay. And this is why I really enjoyed this photo that I'm showing you on the screen right now. It's from about a week or two ago from when Roe versus Wade was released on the documents from the Supreme Court. It's very nice to see people in our society today fight back to defend abortion and fight to for what's right in our country, because this bill has been in place for around a few decades, and I think it's very wrong, especially in this modern day and age, for us to take that away from people and for us to take that away from women, because that woman could be your sister, your daughter, your mother, the person sitting next to you, the person walking behind you to let they could be anybody in our modern day society. I'm pretty sure you get the gist. I just think that we need to understand this topic more and come together as a society instead of always being pro choice and pro life. I think we need to find an in between of where we can help our women instead of constantly fighting back and forth. Because at the end of the day, that is what we need to do. We need to help each other, and we need to help ourselves, and we need to help the women around us. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. I really appreciate it. The slide after this just lists my sources, but I hope after this presentation it just gives you a little bit of an insight of not only my personal opinion, but what many people in the United States believe should be a fundamental healthcare service that should not be taken away from them. Thank you.